Hello and welcome to Growing in Uncertainty. My name is Tess Miller. I'm a certified professional coach and a certified music practitioner. And through my business Wings Unfolded, I help people navigate the reality that they're no longer finding that their current life path is the one that they want to continue taking forward. And I help them figure out what's keeping them from taking the steps they want to take towards their new life. So welcome to my weekly show. I do these because I have found myself in that position many times in my life of wanting to try new things, but being afraid of what could happen if I step out of my comfort zone. And that is basically what led me to writing my first book, the Book of Stuck, which is what I'll be reading from today. I haven't done that yet. I published my book back in June and had intended to share some excerpts from this book just to give people a sense of what it's all about and whether or not it might be something that you could use in your own life in some way. It's a part manual and part workbook. You can read some ideas that I have about being stuck or getting unstuck. And then I give writing exercises that you can try and maybe even implement new ways of being in your life that will help you release some of the stuff that's holding you back. So, like I said, I hope this is something that you can benefit from. You might consider grabbing a notebook, a journal, a piece of paper, and a pen, and pausing this video if you're watching sometime in the future and have the ability to do that. And writing down, once I get to the writing exercises, you can try those on for size. So, just to give you an idea of how my book is organized, there are 3 parts to the book. The first part is really helping you understand, like, how did I get stuck in my life? What led me here? What are some of the things that I believed in that maybe I no longer believe in and could be ready to let go of, but I would just want to understand what being stuck is first. So that's what part 1 is. And the title for the entire section of part 1 is Ready, because we're getting ready to deal with, what is this stuckness? The first step in dealing with anything that you're feeling stuck in is developing awareness. When you can be aware of why you got in this position in the first place, then you can start to see where you might want to get untangled, where you might want to start to get untangled anyway. So I'm going to read some of chapter 3, which is called Some Causes of Stuck. And by the way, I should mention that each chapter I use a song title from the 70s, 80s, 1970s, 1980s, because there's a certain genre of music that my older sister and I affectionately refer to as stuck music, because it was always played on our local radio station. And whenever we would go home from college or whatever, we'd turn on the radio and it was like, wait a minute, I've gotten older, but this music is still the same. What's going on here? So it's stuck music. So the song title that I've given to chapter 3 is Another Brick in the Wall by Pink Floyd. So here we go. The way we arrive at stuck varies. There can be an external cause or an internal call. To illustrate externally caused stuck, let's consider one of the most colossal examples: the COVID-19 pandemic shelter-in-place orders. One day, we were all going about our lives as usual, and as if someone merely flipped a switch, everything just stopped. In my world, all of my concert contracts became instantly null and void. All gigs disappeared. The hospital that employed me to provide therapeutic music at patient bedside said not to come until further notice. My teaching had to transition to a virtual platform. For the first time in my career-driven life, I no longer needed to worry about whether I had enough gas in my car or what to pack for my lunch. My days looked the same, warranting all the Groundhog Day movie memes shared throughout social media. That was my COVID story. I know you have one too, although there was some consolation in knowing that we were all in this stuck together, separately. It was still very frustrating, scary, sad, and so uncertain. Pandemic aside, externally caused stuck can happen in a variety of ways that aren't quite so dramatic. As a musician, one of my biggest fears is injuring a hand or my face. If I'm disabled, I can't play my flute. And if I can't play my flute, then what? If you run out of gas on the way to a gig, that's another way of being stuck. External sources of stuck tend to have pretty straightforward solutions. If I were to run out of gas, a call to a friend or AAA would be one way to solve getting fuel for the car. And if one is injured, hoping that the injury is not wholly life-altering, one need only wait until the body heals. If it is life-altering, then more extreme changes must be made, and it may take a bit more time to find that path forward. But a path forward shall be found. In contrast to externally caused stuck, the internal variety might take a while to surface and assess. We might have a vague sense that something isn't quite right, but we can find so many ways of explaining those things away. In the years leading up to my burnout, I felt a strange pressure in my heart and solar plexus. I should mention here that I do talk in my book about my career burnout, and this is a reference to that. That feeling would ebb and flow depending on what kind of week it was. I explained it away by saying, this is just a particularly busy week. I'll feel better next week. However, that feeling began to accumulate and harden. When feeling like I was in a vice grip a day or two here and there turned into a feeling like that for weeks straight, even on my days off, I could no longer say that I would feel better soon. It was time for me to look at my internally caused stuck and start the process of healing. But how does internally caused stuck happen? The process of internally caused stuck takes more time. It's like scattering seeds. I imagine these seeds like dandelion fluff. Dandelions are weeds that we typically try and remove before they have a chance to reach the fluff stage. The fluff contains the seeds that easily take over a once well-groomed lawn. Although dandelions are good in salads and make a mighty fine jelly. For recipes, consult Dr. Google. Like weeds in our minds, our ideas about ourselves or our life circumstances can grow their own dandelion fluff. Gradually, our minds become populated by a field of negativity and self-loathing. Once we come to this stage of internally caused stuck, we have no choice but to confront it or risk having our lives overrun by weeds of our own making. When it comes to externally caused stuck, our culture has historically taught us to look outward for all of our answers. The advertising industry really likes us to know that a product exists for any ailment we face. There's a lot of ask your doctor about, or we have what you need. And of course, when we do have externally based issues of stuck, we all benefit from seeing those ads. We see what we need, and this ad tells us where to get it. But internally based stuck often comes with a sense of, I don't know what's wrong with me, and therefore I don't know what I need or who to ask. In a fit of desperation at the beginning of my burnout recovery, I did a Google search for, what should I do with my life? Why did I think Google would know any better than I did about what I should do with my life? What made me want to give Google that kind of power? Well, I was pretty desperate. And it was a habit to look outward. Maybe I was just hoping I'd get some ideas. After all, Google seems to have a canny way of knowing what kind of shoes or television shows I might like, and eerily, it's usually spot on. What did Google come up with in response to my search for what I should do with my life? Google urged me to look at going back to school, a very external solution. It didn't ask me to look inward to see what my heart was trying to tell me. I wished at the time that there was an internal search engine. Our inner landscape is a whole new universe waiting to be explored, except we're not handed a map or even a pictogram instructional manual. Sure, we have psychology and oh so many self-help books by innovative thought leaders to point us in the inward direction. We also have beliefs, experiences, and our own way of interpreting the world, which may or may not be our own. We can think we're walking the path inward only to discover that we're relying on guidance from other people's beliefs, experiences, or way of interpreting the world. Once again, we looked outside of ourselves for answers only to remain stuck. Our journey of self-discovery can be murky without tools of awareness. It can also feel a bit scary for many because there is the possibility that we might need to change. Change can feel like the enemy when you're already feeling uncertain. But that is all part of the journey. Fortunately, I've recently walked that path. Well, not your path, but my own. This chapter outlines the process of going inward toward your heart's desires. The first step in that journey is to allow the cause or causes of your current state of stuck to rise to the surface of your awareness. Are you ready to see what got you to this point? I'm right here with you. Take a deep breath and get ready to reflect. Also, you'll want to write a writing utensil. You're going to answer some questions along the way. Finding answers to those queries are the breadcrumbs that lead us back to ourselves. Here we go. So I'm going to read the first section to give you some exercises to start thinking about. Fear of failure or success. The first definition of failure in the dictionary is lack of success. It's interesting to observe that our use of the word failure has dramatically increased since the year 1800. Do what you will with that little factoid. My point in bringing this up is this. What if failure is the success you have been waiting for? Let's explore this. Imagine yourself free of whatever is making you stuck. You are successful. There is forward momentum, and you know exactly what you are doing. Now, answer the following without overthinking it. What happened to cause this shift? What's in your life that is creating this success? Now, obviously, if you're watching this in the future, you can pause here and you can write and reflect. Another question, what feelings come up for you as you imagine this? How does your body respond to this visualization? What thoughts are associated with this success? As I imagine this for myself, my heart feels open and joyful. The energy in my body feels like it's being pulled upward. I feel lighter and I'm really content. The overall thought is, I did it. But wait. Here's one last question I'm going to leave you with. How long does this sensation last for you? What are any follow-up thoughts you have in response to this exercise? I go on to suggest that oftentimes we can do that, answer those first questions and feel really good momentarily. But then when we return to our daily lives, we can get sucked back into all of the thoughts and all of the fears. And a lot of those fears have to do with, oh my gosh, what if I am successful? Then what? Am I going to be able to remain successful? Or am I just going to fail again and have to land back where I am? Sometimes it's easier to stay right where you are so you don't have to go through that process of finally moving forward for a little bit, but then falling backward again. Because what would be worse, staying where you are or failing once again? So that's just a little writing exercise to start you thinking about how you may have gotten yourself into stuck. And I don't mean to put all the blame on you, right? Like, we get stuck for a variety of reasons. Some of those are past, you know, they're a result of circumstances that have just happened in our lives, obstacles that we never could have predicted. A lot of these things can be out of your control too. So I don't want to, paint it like, well, just, get over it and start moving forward, because it's certainly not like that. That was just one little part of this whole book. So I have other exercises in here that I'm going to be sharing over the course of the month of April, maybe into May, we'll see. If you have a copy of this book, awesome. Thank you for buying it. I'd love to hear your feedback about the book, how you're using it, what you might be discovering about yourself. If you would like to purchase a copy, you can do so on my website, wingsunfolded.com, or you can find it on Amazon. It is also there. Either way, it does not matter to me. And again, I'd love to hear your feedback. I may be offering in the future some group coaching where we go through the book together and process this information and go through the exercises, and I'll hand out some supplementary exercises as well. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned to any of my updates. You can find out more about when that might be if you subscribe to my email list if you have not already. I don't fill your inbox with a bunch of stuff, I promise. I send out an email once a month, and that's it. And my email usually shares something that's coming up for me at the time. It shares any past videos from the last few weeks that you might want to check out. And then it shares what my upcoming offerings are. So thank you so much for watching, whether you're watching on Facebook or if you're watching on YouTube or on my website. Please like or share these so that more people can find them. Work your algorithm magic for me. Thank you. And remember that it is okay to be stuck, but you don't have to stay there. Have an amazing week and take care.